Good evening and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You are joining your host, Greg Tompsett, along with my 1-0 partner in crime, Aaron Quinn. Aaron, how we doing?
I'm living, buddy. It's week one, Western New York. I don't know how it is over there in Ohio, but absolute perfection for a week one here at home. We got a little bit of everything in this game here to talk about, good and bad. Some good and bad.
The full Josh Allen experience, as always.
Lots of experience here. But you know what? To get out of week one with a victory, not every team can talk about that here, as we were just talking about the 1 o'clock slate of games.
West the Bengals.
We talked about it's a liar. There's not a lot to take away from the game necessarily, but if you can walk out of a close one with a scrappy team that plays hard with a win, that's a big plus, man. So I'm living good. We got Victory Monday coming tomorrow here in Western New York.
Absolutely. So you are joining us now because the Buffalo Bills have defeated the Arizona Cardinals 34-28. Crazy swings. Aaron and I are going to walk through. The Cardinals went up 17-3 at one point. We then had a critical double dip at the end of the first half and coming back to score. We had, I think at one point, the Bills went on a 28-3 scoring binge. Then we had a dynamic kick return taken back for a touchdown. Both teams had big kick returns this game's. Just a crazy back and forth. My Apple
both
Watch
teams
is,
also had
asking
kicks.
me if I'm having heart palpitations.
Both teams also had some kick issues in this.
Yes.
Like the new kickoff rules really came into play quite a bit. I thought there was a point there after we'll get into the game when we go through the flow that it might make the difference in the game when Cardinals got the ball.
Yeah, 100%. It was very impactful. Obviously, I think in this game in particular, heavily influenced by the wind. The Bills tried both directions. They tried to kick it out of the end zone. It got floated up. The guy got a good head of steam and took it back. They still need to make tackles. That's no difference.
Yep.
And then separately, they're like, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's try to pin it down in the corner. And that one bounces out of bounds. So they give the ball at the 40. So
I guess that's one part of this I didn't think of. We talked so much about the kick rules, but how wind would impact that was something I just didn't even think of. And this game obviously showed that there's some major impact if you're kicking into the wind, things like that. So noted. Something to remember.
Good Lord. So let's start here at the top. Obviously, overall thoughts.
Yeah.
We've talked all off season. We talked in our preview show. We talked in our quarterback preview show. I've talked on every fantasy show and other. I've been on Dolphin shows, Patriot shows, a couple radio shows, a whole bunch of appearances. And in every single one, I make the same comments of, we have Josh Allen and they don't. This team goes as far as Josh Allen takes them. And that was 100% of what happened today. This is a Josh Allen centric team. We joked in the other show that the comments about him being the most overrated player was mostly sour grapes from guys he was probably directly talking trash to. But just in case anyone actually thought he was the most overrated player in the NFL, today is a great example. 18 of 23, 232 yards, 10.1 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. 9 carries for 39 yards, 2 more touchdowns, 4 total touchdowns. Did have the strip sack early, which was on him. He was back there in the pocket too long, but Josh Allen is special and we have him and others don't.
Yeah, no. And sometimes in these sloppy week ones, that's all it comes down to, right? Is can your quarterback just make some crazy plays and do stuff? And the best part about this game for me, as somebody that loves to do photos and edits and marketing and stuff like that, is we got a Josh Allen hurdle right out of the gates, week one, a hurdle for a touchdown. So that's going to be dope. But yeah, no, the things he can do, keep plays alive.
Sometimes to a fault. I mean, that's where the fumble came from, was him knowing he could wait and
keep going. And we talk about it so many times. This is I hate to talk about him in the same vein as Brett Favre because there's so many other skills. It's not a fair comp, but in the terms of the up and down, you got to take some of that with the Josh Allen experience, because every time he later in the game extends a play and then hits Keon Coleman down the field, those types of plays make up for the strip sack early in the game. Unfortunately, it doesn't feel like it in the moment. But I think the nice thing is I can live with some of those strip sacks happening for him trying to make too much of a play in the pocket. He didn't make a lot of bad throws today. We'll go through. You talked about the 18 for whatever, 18 out of 23, but there wasn't a lot of those oh no, Josh, what are you doing, dude? Throws that didn't turn in interceptions. There wasn't, what does PFF call those? Interceptable, whatever.
Turnover worthy.
Turnover There was no turnover worthy throws that I remember from the day. He was just kind of hitting open guys.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Jason really well said here. For years, this team has shown the ability to learn from mistakes early on, adjust, get better within the game, never stop fighting, overcome for the victory. It's probably the best trait this team has had under McDermott. I think that's really well said. It's not perfect. There were mistakes in this game. There was a lot of, there was some rough timing. There was too many runs on first down, not enough play action mixed in. I would like to have seen that a little bit more. Ultimately, we ended up with, 23 passes to 33 rushes. Although I will say, out of Josh's 9 carries, I think maybe
there was a handful of them that were
5 or 6 of them designed. One of them is the kneel down to the end section, only 8 runs. So it probably was about 50-50 in how they called the game. But it certainly was a little bit there. There was some challenges on defense, obviously already being short on Milano and then losing Taron Johnson early in the game. That was going to be tough for anybody to get their arms around and figure out how to make the right play calls with that mix. But it certainly had some rough moments. They went up and down their first 3 drives. We barely made a dent, although I will say the first penalties came into play.
Yeah,
there was some rough stuff. The phantom roughing the passer call and Kyler Murray, that was 3rd down. That would have been a field goal attempt.
Yeah.
The callback on the touchdown for the Bills, like it could have easily been like 14-6 the other direction.
Different start.
Instead,
yeah,
it's 17-3. So some weird.
But even in that,
on,
they still marched down.
There was still mistakes to be had, and the fact that, as Jason said, that the fact they figured out how to come back is still pretty huge.
The defense one is tough for me because, like, even after that first drive, when we'll go through the plays, like I said here, but usually the Bills, they even under Frazier, McDermott calling the plays, they had that, right? Whereas like the scripted stuff comes out, they're a little kind of soft, basic, they're not throwing a lot out, and then they kind of regroup. But then it felt like that took a while. That kind of really took until getting into half before you felt like the defense kind of locked in, was able to get some stops. But some of it felt pretty like it was like very close on a bunch of sacks. I know nobody wants to hear close on sacks, but they were getting pressures, and Murray's just slippery. That was something we talked about in the show. Like, this is his first full season really healthy back, right? And so he's healthy and he's slippery, and those ones that are going to be sacks against other quarterbacks in the league might not turn into sacks against Kyler Murray in these situations. And he was slippery in this game, made some big plays. But for me, the frustrating thing was it seemed like some long extended drives where it wasn't like the Bills were giving up crazy big plays. Like, there's some fluky stuff happening, but instead of doing the bend but don't break that we're used to, they were just giving up points at the end of some of these drives and leaking out. Yeah, they
were bending and breaking.
Yeah, but it's more like, it would be one thing if you could point to a couple of things like, oh, there was like these 3 big plays that just leaked out for touchdowns, and we can point at DeMar Hamlin or Dorian Williams for making a mistake. It was like they actually played fairly good traditional Bills defense where they kept a lot of stuff in front of them. You didn't hear Marvin Harrison's name a ton. Like, they kind of kept McBride in check. But then at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, they spread the ball around and were able to continue drives and get things going. And they just weren't able to get them to break, or they did get broken. They didn't just bend there. So frustrating, but I trust in Babich and McDermott to get that right on the defensive side.
Shout out to Brian. He got the wrong end of the schedule luck. I got the good schedule luck for my Disney trip. Brian's at Disney World with his family, said he couldn't attend or watch the home opener, but was following on ESPN and on Twitter. You can't make me say X. From his phone between rides. At no point will I call it X. So shout out to Brian. Hope your family's having an awesome trip, and what a great way to find out that we got a W. And you probably saved yourself some heart health
a little bit.
I lost at least like 4 hours of the end of my life from today. So, we'll have that there. Zach here asking, worried about Torrence, Cromer, sophomore slump. It wasn't great. That was not a great performance. I try to wait on offensive line stuff till we're able to see it. We'll see what Eric and Anthony do in the film room. So obviously,
the Bills rushed for 130 yards.
It was not great on the penalties. Some of the highlights there, but Josh wasn't getting pressured. They ran the ball reasonably consistently, but the couple penalties, and I saw him get beat 2 times. That really stuck out. So it wasn't a good game no matter what, but I wouldn't be too worried, because I think maybe people conflate him playing every single snap last year to him playing every single snap exceptionally last year. Like, he had a bunch of these games last year too. So like it's not, he wasn't awesome last year. He was pretty good. He was a very good run defender and a below average pass blocker. Today, he was very good run blocker and he was a below average pass blocker. He was what he was all last year. So I wouldn't build up too much on that. Speaking of the run game, Aaron, James Cook, 19 carries for 71 yards, doing his normal gliding. We got one drive with some pretty good
it was like 3 10-yard plays in
Ray
a row
Davis
from Ray Davis
touches and a couple nice plays from Cook, but not as much Ray Davis as I expected. Although I think it was skewed because the time of possession early on was so heavy, there weren't as much need for it, and then they would have the ball for a decent amount of time in between our possessions. So we probably were able to just get Cook, fresh and get back out there, because in total it was the 19 carries plus another 3 catches. He ended up with 103 total yards. Really impactful impact on the game. And I think exactly what fantasy people knew but didn't love. Up and down the field, 103 total yards. Josh Allen gets both rushing touchdowns. It's just, hey, sorry, man. He had 22 touches for 103 yards. That's a really good game, but Josh scores the touchdowns. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet the EPA is going to be fantastic too. Like
all
the stats are going to look great. Super efficient. Yeah,
barely any negative runs. I think almost all of them. He might have got stuffed once or twice.
There was a couple at the end, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, when they knew we were running.
Yeah.
Calisato, this game got me drunk enough to make lunch or dinner plans with people I should have been closer to before now. Love you guys. Best coverage. Appreciate you. Anything else in the run game that stuck out to you before we go to the everybody eats menu?
Yeah, no, I think they showed exactly what Sean McDermott's been talking about for a little bit with the run game. And maybe there was a bit in the second quarter where I felt like, okay, like it's good. Yes, establish a run, get that physicality, but maybe pull off the run game a little bit and let Josh Allen do some stuff and open this game up. Because there was like a period of time where Josh Allen was like 3 for 3, but it was like 3 drives into the game. And it was like, okay,
5 for 5 at the half.
Yes,
we had thrown 5 passes in the first half. That's crazy.
Yeah, let's lean a little away from it. But when they were running, it was physical. James Cook was running with good pad level and more physical. Like Sean McDermott's kind of been vocal about getting out of him. And then when Ray Davis, at least in the small sample we saw, I don't think that he's going to rush and catch for 10 yards every time he touches the ball. But in that small sample, I think we saw the contact balance and that what he brings that's a little different stylistically than James Cook. It was nice to see them both get out there a little bit. So I'm excited to see what comes from this run game. I think the most surprising thing for me in the run game, though, like I'm not a huge betting man, Craig, but if I probably would have made a bet if you were like the total rushing attempts for Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel over 1 going into this game with all the talk.
You were 0.5. I would have easily taken the over.
And then that I would have expected some of it in this game. And it was not a wrinkle that was brought out. We saw some motions and stuff like that. Maybe that'll be worked into some of it later on, but we didn't actually get a jet sweep or any of the stuff that I was baking up with those 2 in my brain over the offseason. So that's probably the only surprise out of the run game that I didn't see.
Moving to the passing game, there was so much talk. I thought it was a little bit of a cliche, and we would see how much it would hold up. But like, hey, everybody eats, or nobody cares how much everybody eats, or how much anyone eats, as long as everybody has a plate, and all these different sayings about how they were going to spread the ball around. Well, 10 different guys got a target, 9 different guys got a catch. No one had more than 4 catches. No one had more than 5 targets. Literally everyone
leading was
ate.
51 yards.
Literally everyone ate. 9 guys in double digits. Keon Coleman 4 for 51. Khalil Shakir 3 for 42 and a touchdown, and of course caught all 3 targets, just like he always does. James Cook 3 for 32, caught all 3 of his targets.
Just
James
like
Cook
he
has no drops on the day. Very interesting.
Stuff.
Mac Hollins 2 for 25, both of his. Dawson Knox 1 for 2, although he got lit up.
That was a terrible target.
That was not a drop. That was Josh. That was a hospital ball that you.
Oh my god! I'm surprised he got up from that.
Given a hard time about that was a hospital ball. You don't do those.
Yeah.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling 1 for 19, very very close.
Oof, could have been
2 for 70.
Yeah.
And that was on Josh. Josh, like Marquez Valdez-Scantling got a hit a little bit at the stem, maybe broke his stride a tiny bit, and I think Josh thought he was going to be
a little deeper,
full clean run of full speed. But Josh put it out in front of him. Curtis Samuel, 2 for 15, caught both of his targets. Ray Davis caught his one target on a nice drop down, had good yards after catch, gave him 1 for 14. Dalton Kincaid, by far the biggest surprise of anything that happened today. Dalton Kincaid didn't get his first target until late into the third quarter and ended up with one more target on the day. 1 for 11 yards. And then Ty Johnson, one kind of check down that didn't get completed. So super well done spreading it around. Shakir looked good as always. Mac Howens had the bigger role that everybody, I know Anthony Prohaska was real big on kind of telling people, hey, he's going to have a bigger role than you think. I thought Keon Coleman very much looked the part, really tough catch down the sideline, some big body, big boy catches, like exactly what he was showing up to be. So really encouraging. I'm not ready to be discouraged by Kincaid because they won and they were spreading it around, and maybe the defense was super clued in on him. We'll see when the all 22 comes out, but this passing game was literally exactly what Josh Allen said it would be.
I am so ready to try to sneak Kincaid from somebody in fantasy because they're going to like overreact to week 1 and steal that. Because I'm sure that's going to be a narrative all week, is because we heard so much that the replacement of wide receiver 1 was this concept of everybody eats, but also Kincaid being wide receiver 1 was kind of like the subtext of how everybody was talking about this going. And I do think there's going to be plenty of games where Kincaid is targets leader. It just wasn't this week. I think it shows when we dig into the film. I bet it's going to be a concerted effort by Gannon and the defense to do what everybody else thought the Bills were going to do, is go at Kincaid. They were probably trying to take that away more so than some of the other guys. But I think, outside of the win and outside, again, multiple scoring drives and the offense finally get going a little bit in this game, my frustration that I'm walking away with a little bit, and I'll wait till we kind of see the tape and see if there were some missed opportunities, was sort of the same issues that I had with Ken Dorsey. And you have all these playmakers that we talk about ad nauseum of what I think they can do with, if given space and things like that. It doesn't seem like you're getting these guys necessarily manufactured touches when they aren't getting touches in the natural flow and progression of the game. And so like a Dalton Kincaid shouldn't wait that long to touch the football.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you gotta manufacture, get him a screen, get him some look. That's what Andy Reid, Kansas City do. You're not going to let Travis Kelce just go. Now, I'm not comparing the two players, but these types of players in your offense, you're not just going to let them go an entire half without getting a look their way. Khalil Shakir, we saw what he does when the ball goes his way and he gets it, takes a screen. The guy's like hard to knock down. How are you not hitting those types of plays a little bit more often and a little bit earlier in the game with these types of playmakers that are in your offense? I'd like to see that aspect of it change, or what we expected with Curtis Samuel, maybe line up in the backfield and get some manufactured looks when the ball's just not going their way in the natural flow of the offense. I'm fine with everybody eats, but you got to get guys the ball when they're not seeing the touches.
100%. Quick shout out here to Sophia, consistent supporter of us on YouTube. She is a recent One Pass subscriber, and actually, like right in her first week joining, she won one of our jersey giveaways. So congratulations to Sophia, and just thank you for as much support as you've given us. It's awesome. As Chris is sharing down along the bottom there, we've got a ton of new signups. We announced our new partnership with 26 Shirts, which had such an awesome shirt giveaway that they're so talented. It's crazy. So if you guys are looking for a way to support us, that's the best way to do it. Press that like button while you're in here and sign up like Sophia. You might win yourself a free Bills jersey, or now you get an awesome 26 Shirts shirt when you sign up. So big shout out to those guys, and thank you for Pat, another guy who's a consistent supporter of ours. We really appreciate you. All right, I'm gonna switch over sides of the ball and get ready to gloat a lot. I'm gonna gloat a great amount here. I don't know if there's any player that I've like talked up as much on the Bills. They obviously, like, Josh is always going to be great. I talked about Kincaid a lot, but I kind of hedged and was like, well, I think Shakir, and like I kind of changed my mind on, maybe Samuel have a bigger role. I flopped around. The player I was by far the most consistently like, hey, this might be more than just a good third season. This might be like a huge breakout season, was on Gregory Rousseau. Like we just kept seeing it, and he had those elite traits, the huge size, but with power and speed. And we saw the little bit of a flash in that early Steelers game that, oh my God, is he putting this together? Are these the things that we've been talking about? You saw the comment from Von Miller that, hey, this isn't a mentor-mentee situation anymore. We're talking ball. He's graduated. He's one of us. We're just talking.
We're peers.
We're peers now. And he was impactful and dominant this entire game. He hit Kyler Murray 5 times. 3 of them were sacks, one with a strip sack fumble in a huge moment when they needed it and had the momentum going, consistently compressing the pocket and making Kyler uncomfortable, letting other guys get home and to get there. Von Miller ended up having a sack as well. I thought the defensive line looked really good. Daquan Jones compressed as well and was hitting the quarterback, another pass defense. I watched Ed Oliver get held 7 times.
Yeah, he was all over the backfield.
Couldn't figure it out, but Gregory Rousseau, he's not going to have 3 sacks every season. I don't think he's going to end the season with 51 sacks.
You can't prove that.
I will say the biggest smash bet that we brought up on our show was, for some reason, BetUS had his season total over under at 5.5. And I was joking that I wanted to find out what their like single bet max was to do, because that was so insanely low. I hope a couple of you listening got in on that, because
took that investment opportunity.
That's going to be free money by like week 6.
Next week.
He looks so good. He looks so good.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you specifically, since you're the cap guy, is how much
all the money.
How much well, hold on. How much is his contract value increasing per sack? Like, what's his is it $500,000 per sack, 2 million per sack?
way more than we're gonna like.
Sack.
Thank God they already locked in what his 5th year option number was. Thank God that number can't skyrocket. So we at least got him next year at the like 14.3 or whatever it is. And there were some people bristling at that number that he hadn't earned that. And like, don't get me wrong, like he hasn't been amazing. But we'll go through and take a look at it. So,
it's just funny too how like when in the offseason, Greg, I'd posted one like, who do you do right now if it's Spencer Brown or Gruden, you can only do one. And people were kind of like, it was a little split, but there's a lot of like, dude, it's not even a question. You do the offensive line, you protect Josh. And I did it again the other day, and everyone was like, dude, it's Groot, you're dumb. Why would you? Like, it was like a 3-month window in between the two. But that's, I think, the trend, to your point, of how we've seen it is coming to play here in week 1.
Yeah, I've got bad news for everybody. You need to brace yourselves next summer. It's gonna be next summer. It might even be right around now, right before the season starts next year.
Or
Gregory Rousseau is going to sign for $100 million. Like, it's going to be 5 years and $100 million. He's going to get $20 million a year. He's going to be worth it. It's going to be great. But this was an opportunity to get an Ed Oliver discount before he had the big breakout season. We did not capitalize on that. And again, people will knock the Dawson Knox and Tyler Bass signings as too early and now not a good value. So, you can't fault Bean for, and I don't even think it's Bean. I'm pretty sure Gregory Rousseau's team knows what his potential is and wanted that huge number and weren't giving a discount. But he's going to earn all the money and it's going to be fine. It's going to be like when Cowboys fans see CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons get signed. Gregory Rousseau is special. Yes. He's going to have a special season and we're going to pay him all the dollars.
And you want to draft and sign your own guys. Like, this is going to be a priority to Bean and McDermott to get done. So
all the monies. So we talked about the defensive line because that was the good part of the defense. On the back end, there were some flashes before I start to complain about the other parts. Losing Taron Johnson on the second freaking drive.
Yeah, I still have not seen. Is there any news? I haven't seen. I scoured Twitter a little bit, but I did not see.
I would think this pure no. First, no, there have been no formal reports that I've seen.
The last report I heard from the game was that he was like getting something wrapped, trying to come back in a wrist, and then went to the locker room and didn't come back. So not great.
Normally, if I assume they went back to take X-rays,
because
that's a reasonable assumption. And normally, if those X-rays are not good, that info does leak. Now, not always with the Bills. The Bills are pretty tight about some of those things. So I'm purely, I'm going to say wish casting. I'm going to just purely biasly wish that this is what I think is going to happen. But I do think it's reasonable to guess that, hey, we might have heard by now if it was negative X-rays and a fracture.
Sure.
But it could be anything in between there. We could have a wrist, we could have a strain, we could have a UCL like what Josh had. They were testing his grip strength. That's a lot of those tendons up there in the elbow that control grip strength. So I've seen all the injury people. Our guy Kyle Trimble, saying those same things. It's really hard to do. And as Pat brought up here, I think both of us have not been the biggest Cam Lewis advocates. We've been, probably as skeptical as most or as any content creator. And I got to give him credit. He stepped up in a big way, playing an every down role. I've been fine with him as a breaking glass case of emergency backup guy, but I didn't want the glass to break. And now going in there, I was very concerned with that. And honestly, I thought he looked pretty good. It's really tough. Greg Dortch and Trey McBride are a tough combo in the slot and with the tight end. And I thought, especially not being part of that full end game planning to be in the primary role, I thought he held up as well as you could ask.
Yeah, I have it all throughout my notes. I have Cam Lewis notes. I owe him an apology. I won't say I've been hard on
10 tackles,
Cam Lewis.
7 solos, 10 tackles.
Yeah, and it was the way. It wasn't like downfield. He was like getting up to the line of scrimmage, doing exactly how the Bills want that nickel position to operate.
Some of that Taron Johnson gunfiring.
Yeah, he did good in coverage. He had a really nice game. He sniffed out some plays. I owe him a little bit of an apology. I've not been negative about Cam Lewis, but I've definitely been like, okay, like cool versatility, like jack of all trades, master of none. He played a step above my expectations for the backup of Taron Johnson today. And if that's a sign, if it is something significant for Taron, say a couple weeks or something where he needs some time to heal, and Cam can play like that, I'm not losing a lot of sleep. I don't know they can play to that level consistently, but I'm intrigued to see.
So they say the real sign of a good relationship is that two people know each other so well and show it in gifts. And I want to give you a gift because I found a fabulous shot of what you can work with here this week. This is my gift to you.
It's so pretty.
He's
so
amazing?
Awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
It's so
for anyone listening, I just showed a really nice shot, and I wish I could get credit. It's from the NFL. I don't see the photographer who did the shot here, but it's from the NFL account, and it's like a perfect moment of when Budda Baker is going underneath Josh as he hurdles him on what ends up being a critical touchdown to be able to score it. So I will share that with you so that you can do delightful designs and graphic work with it.
It's gorgeous. I'm so happy for my kids to get to watch this guy.
It's so cool. Their life is like, oh no, rooting for Josh Allen is normal. It's just
all the quarterbacks don't just hurdle.
Everybody does.
All pro safeties on the way into the end zone. No, everybody does that. Cool.
I will say I thought this was a fine game by Terrell Bernard. I saw him miss a couple more times than I normally love. I thought he was pretty good in space. I thought he was a good game. It was not Terrell Bernard's best game. I thought it was fine. I saw Dorian Williams fly past my screen multiple times.
He had up and down. There were some good plays too.
Some good plays, and very clear what we weren't sure on. And Erica talked about this, where we didn't know, were we going to go immediately back to the last year? It was the Jordan Poyer kind of thick dime. Even with Taron out, we went right back to it, and we saw Jamarcus Ingram coming in as a dime defender with Dorian Williams coming off in the obvious passing downs. So we'll see how that continues. Obviously, a lot of that depends on Taron Johnson and what those different roles are, but they played 3 quarters plus of this game against, again, their defense. Arizona's defense was not good. We should have scored more than 34. But their offense is going to put up points on everybody. This is a legit NFL offense, and we played
Kyler's a legit
plus
QB
of that game with Jamarcus Ingram and Cam Lewis as key pieces of that defense. So shout out to them for stepping up. I don't think it was great. I mean,
they locked up Marvin Harrison Jr. So right?
That one play. You can't, except for the one play where they lost him, and thank God, so did Kyler.
You can't. That play is not in the stat book.
It's not in the stat sheet. Going a little further, Benford and Rousseau Douglas, I thought played really well. No receiver had big games on their side. They kept everything in the middle. They funneled it back.
Douglas is such a dog when he comes up. There was one play. It was like a little quick screen. The way he comes up, man, when he pulls his trigger, that dude's different. He's something else.
Dude, their outside receivers on the game had 2 catches for 9 yards. Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison, they had 2 catches for 9 yards combined. Now, Dortch and Connor and McBride, the running back, there was a ton of tight end running back check down funneling, and obviously Dortch was basically used like a movable piece in the middle. So that was there. But the reason they kept having to go to the middle is because Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford had it locked up on the outside. It was fantastic.
I think when we get into the film, this is going to look very much traditional Bills defense, where it's like, yeah, if you're going to take some of that horizontal stuff and you can work some yardage that way, you can get it, but you're not going to beat us deep. We're not going to give up the big play in the passing game. And a lot of their big plays came from broken plays because Kyler Murray's legs, which there isn't a ton you can do about it. The Bills were getting pressure on him. He's slippery. And when he does get out, he's one of the fastest in the league. He's not Lamar. I think he's probably up there with Allen in terms of just like ability to go from 0 yards to 20 before you know it in a blink. They got a few of those today, but other than that, I thought the defense, even some of those plays where Kyler was holding the ball in the pocket, I think there was great coverage, and it's just hard to keep coverage for as long as he's able to keep the ball and extend it with not getting him to the ground in some of those situations. So I think it's going to look good on the back end. Something I'm happy about is the safety tandem didn't look exposed. Obviously, there was that one would have looked bad if Marvin Harrison Jr. gets hit wide open down the field. Correct. If he hit, maybe there's some of those in the tape.
Some communication that stand stuff still being worked out.
I'm sure there is, but I thought there was going to be more of a concerted effort to like attack Dorian Williams and DeMar Hamlin with McBride and up the seam and with James Conner in the passing game. And they just really didn't. So I don't know if it was Arizona just not taking advantage of that or if they did a pretty good job in coverage.
Yeah. Ron here brought up that I like the aggression on the blitz calls, especially the last play of the game. Like they kept the linebackers back the whole time and then late brought it. And I think there was a lot of fear of Kyler scrambling and being able to pick something up. And I love our beloved Lauren. She said she really hated the play call to kick the field goal. I would say it's not as fun as going for it to end it. So one, you have to take into account they know Josh Hurta's hand pretty good. So I don't know if that was a factor or a piece of their mind. And you also have to remember, if we go for it there and don't get it, their last play of the game was 4th and 7 at the Bills 29. That's a 46-yard field goal with the wind at your back. They don't go for that. They kick the field goal and we go to overtime. So saying that kicking the field goal there does nothing, that's factually incorrect because they went for it because we kicked the field goal.
Yeah. And they were in field goal range, right? To tie
yes, they were in field goal range, and Prater with the wind at his back at a 46-yarder is virtually automatic. So that last play of the game where they went for it was only because we kicked the field goal, and that's how we got off the field. So again, it's way more fun if we go for it, we convert, we kneel it out. That's way cooler to do. Yeah. So I like that more, but I will push back a little bit that there was a strategic reason. There's a difference in driving when you're down 3 versus down 6. You have to go for the touchdown. It's a factor in why we won the game.
And a little side thing that is probably good for everybody is kind of putting Bass in some of those situations, right? Like if he misses that, then it looks terrible, right? Like you trot him out there and he misses a field goal to put you up by more than a field goal in that situation. Then everybody's talking about it today, but he goes out and he makes it, adds confidence for his game. Something we'll talk about maybe on the special team side, but like not bad.
Do next.
Go do the things you need to do. He hasn't earned my confidence back yet. I'm still a little worried when he gets out there, but it's slow. It's a slow build up. So that's the right call. Scene right here from Banged Up Bills, Kyle Trimble posting the video of Taron Johnson's injury. Says it looks like he went for the peanut punch, wraps up, getting too high and thrown off, possibly tried grabbing onto the jersey as he falls. His concern would be for moderate wrist flexor strain, was unable to return.
Okay. I like that, so I'm going to choose to believe it because that makes me happy.
That sounds like a week-to-week type of thing, maybe more than like anything.
And that's, the only reason I'm hesitant or skeptical is
he didn't come back.
Is that also something that you wouldn't come back in the game for? We've seen guys play with a club on their hand. So I hope that's true. Kyle's very good at what he does. I really hope that's true. That would be awesome. If that's all that this was, if we have to survive, we also have a short week here and then a longer break. So, if we can give him 2 weeks off and come back for that week 3 game, maybe that's something that would work out, a little bit better, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. You talked about it with special teams here. I think people are going to think about this as just a terrible special teams game, and it wasn't. There were some bad things.
It was high variance.
In a moment. It was, yes, that's a really good way to say it. We had the first big kick return of the dynamic kick return. It ended up not being the biggest one of the game, but jumped out to a 53-yard return.
Won the
from Bradley
trade with the
Codrington.
Jets.
Yeah, won the trade. Tyler Bass made all 6 of his kicks, and I will say none of them made me like all of them were now about like dead center, but all of them were good, comfortable makes. They look
a wacky
good.
wind day here in Western New York too.
Yes, and I think a lot of things that, again, I am no Matthew Smiley apologist. I've called for his job for 18 months, 2 years running now. So I feel bad that I'm now going to defend him, but he's not in charge of the wind. Like, he's just not. Like, they tried to kick it out of the end zone and the wind blew it back in and it came short. We need to be able to tackle.
Got to tackle.
Like, we got to be able to tackle that. So the decision wasn't the reason that went back for a touchdown. Failing to 2 guys touch the returner. 2 guys had their hands on DJ Dallas. You can't let him break 2 tackles. And in this new dynamic kick return, if you break 2 tackles, it will be a touchdown.
So, it did feel, though, a little bit like maybe there. I don't want to make an assumption of like a lack of preparation. And I wasn't at the stadium. I was at my house today and it was very windy, but it's been windy here. Yeah. Like it seemed like they kicked into the wind directly. That didn't work. And then they just like went to something else versus like knowing what was going to work, kicking into the wind in this stadium and how to.
What was your plan?
40 yards is a big deal, dude. Getting the ball at the 40s like that. Because the Cardinals got that was like nerve wracking.
Yeah, for anyone who wasn't keeping track. So the first one goes back for a touchdown. So okay, well, they can't do that again. So they did try to pin it more on the sideline as kind of like the line drive squib kick.
Yeah.
And Bass did land it properly.
In the right area.
Landed right, but when it's an oblong egg-shaped leather ball. Like it does weird stuff. It bounced towards the sideline. It bounced out of bounds. When it bounces out of bounds, you get it at the 40. Like that's, a huge return. That's basically giving them a 40, 45-yard return that if they had taken the ball back themselves. So it's, he's not in charge of the wind. I don't think he's a good special teams coordinator. I am not defending him, but the stuff that happened today was weird stuff, not stuff that I'm necessarily just going to lay at his feet. I think there's a little more to it. And I want to add in, I was petrified of Sam Martin kicking into the wind at the end when we only punted twice in the game.
Right.
When he punted, I was really, really nervous about what that was going to do. And he punted it, perfectly fine. He punted it inside the 20.
He's been mostly solid.
Yeah. Didn't let it go. He had a 51-yard punt and a 39-yard punt. The 39-yarder was the one into the wind inside the 20. So that was a good punt. Even though 39 sounds bad, that was a perfectly good punt. He was fine. He obviously held well. Bass made all 6 of his kicks. I think the special teams play today was more even than people are out with their pitchforks and
I didn't see how, like, I watched a little bit of Red Zone and commercial breaks and stuff. I'm so focused on the Bills, I don't watch all the rest of the league as much, so I didn't see how the kicking game impacted week 1 now that we have a full slate of games. So I'll be interested to see maybe how much variance there was in this game, because it felt like it was very impactful to this game, and I'll be interested to see if anybody else had that kind of impact.
Yeah, so we'll see. Obviously, much more to come. All right, let's go through some of the timeline here in the way that the game kind of came about before we wrap up. Obviously, the first one was tough. The Cardinals win the toss and choose it. So I like the confidence from their coach and from their side saying, hey, we want the ball. We want to set the tone. And they did. They were, James Conner with a nice screen right off the bat. They're moving their way down the field. Kyler's kind of moving the ball around. I think James Conner had something crazy, like the first 6 straight touches, something like that.
It was,
which is pretty wild. But before they got the ball to anyone else, we get down, we start having some of the penalties. The penalty for Jamarcus Ingram on the intentional or unnecessary roughness on the scramble by Murray. I'm mad that it happened. It was a bad angle. The ref was behind it. At first, it did kind of look like Ingram gave them an opportunity to call it. And then on the replay, shout out to who's the kicker that's on the
Feely.
Feely was talking through, I thought explained it really, really well. He did exactly what you wanted. So once you could see the zoomed in replay, like
Pulls
he
up.
went down, was about to be there. He pulled himself off. He barely even made any actual contact with Murray. So that's one that they're going to be embarrassed to see afterwards.
Those are the
But I
real
get it.
time. Those got to
The
be
real
real
time bang
time.
bang thing. Like I kind of thought that I was like, oh man, I can't believe he went down there and still hit him and gave him a chance.
It comes back in our favor later because there was a
Yeah.
face mask or face mask or something that probably wasn't.
They gave one to
Allen.
Josh that was
Yeah.
maybe forcible contact to the head, but not. Although Josh ran later and slid and got
And then
hit
didn't get
hard
one.
and
Yeah.
didn't get it. So not a great day by the refs.
Some inconsistency.
Yeah, the Osiris Torrence penalty on the touchdown will come up here in a moment. That one is not on them. That was a good call. He left his hand up there forever.
The problem with them, the Murray scramble one, is it's 3rd and 13. You get a Groot tackle for loss. Before that, on a 2nd and 10, Groot gets a big play. It's Groot and Daquan Jones blowing up the backfield. And you get a 3-yard loss. You get yourself into a 3rd and 13 situation. Exactly how defensively you want to script opening drive, right? Like you bend a couple, they get a couple big plays. You get them into a 3rd and 13. The train horn's going, the place is going nuts, and then you get Murray to scramble. And it was only like a couple yards scramble before he slides. You had the play blown up, getting the ball back, and then it turns into that. And that's like
it would have been 4th and 7.
It's almost like a 19-yard play there too.
Yeah.
Like the swing with the flag, and then it turns into a Wilson touchdown drive. And that's just so defeating when you know you had, because then that changes this whole narrative of how the defense played. If you get the stop there, like who knows where this game goes to start the game.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
My mom watching. So then we go through and it seems like, okay, the Bills are going to answer right back. No big deal. We're going right down the field as well. James Cook for 9 yards. James Cook picks up the first down. Another one to Mac Hollins for 14. Everything's moving. Josh is sitting there patting the ball in the backfield. Nobody touching him. Tons of time. I actually went back and did it. It was literally like almost 5 seconds. It was probably like 4.7, 4.8 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sat there too long and didn't have the sense that somebody was coming around from the behind him. They swipe the ball out. Lopez is able to knock it out and they recover it. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, that doesn't feel good. And now you give an underdog a chance to have an opening touchdown and the ball back. And anytime you do that, they're going to be in a position where they feel like they're in the game and they go right down again. We do get a stop on 3rd down this time, but they drive right back down the field and you can't get off the field. But, multiple 3rd down conversions there. You get him in a 3rd down. We get the check down to DeMarcado that goes for 24 yards.
That was tough. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're just letting them get their bearings and feel like, hey, we can play in this game. And anytime you're a favorite, you got to be able to put your foot down quickly.
Yeah, the one thing that gave me at this point in the game here, even though they get the field goal, go up 10-0, I think right at this point I tweeted out that I had seen enough, and this was something we talked about on the preview show of, I think the Bills were going to win in the trenches. And I thought I saw enough from Ed Oliver being consistently in the backfield and Greg Rousseau being consistently in the backfield with sprinklings of like Daquan Jones was in there a lot. Like you just saw a lot of winning happening along the line of scrimmage. And even though the score wasn't indicative of that, like I felt like at some point we're going to get to him on one of those 3rd downs and get the ball back here. Like you're winning and it's not resulting in necessarily good results for the scoreboard, but I'll take that through 4 quarters all day. So that was kind of like my saving grace here was defense is getting beat up, but you're real close. And like you finally got the stop to hold them to 3 there. We got Josh Allen, like go ahead, have the 10-point buffer. You need a head start anyway.
Yeah. Again, I know this is a good example. Fans get frustrated with the 1st down runs. They come out, 1st down run was James Cook for 15 yards. Like it was working. They were getting it. They go right back to it. 1st down run for 5 yards. They're consistently going back. They then convert Dawson Knox with a nice play on a really nice fake, great ball fake and eye candy to be able to open that one up. And then again, they go right back, 1st down run, 9 yards. So it was the reason they were doing it is because it was working. And this one felt like, okay, like, hey, I know we let him score twice, but we're moving the ball at will. It's totally fine. We're going to be good. And then like Osiris Torrence took out a lease on that guy's face mask and like moved in with his hand. Like I think he took up residency. It might have been common law marriage in some state. It was there for so long. Like I don't know how. Like the refs give the offensive lineman a decent amount of grace if you get your hand down relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm.
you got to get the ball, your hand down, man. Like,
Yeah.
you can't let your hand just like live up on the guy's face, man.
This was also almost like a 20-yard swing, dude, in the
Yes.
red zone. Like, put it right at the edge of the red zone.
3rd and goal at the 19. We just scored a touchdown, and instead it's 3rd and goal at the 19. So Josh Allen could have 3 rushing touchdowns on the day. So here,
There's some
exactly
confusion on that 3rd down play.
I don't know what it was, if Josh thought he saw something, because you're 19 yards out. I don't know exactly what he thought he saw. It looked weird. And at this point, between the fumble that he took by taking too long in the pocket, and then that decision, I'm having impure thoughts about Josh Allen and like, hey, what's wrong with you? I didn't want the sugar high Josh early on and making some of these weird decisions. From that point forward, things got very, very nice the rest of the way. But at that point, I was like, oh God, and it got way worse. This is where Nervous Mafia comes in. This is where our friend Drew Gear had his normal explosion,
mid-season form,
right off the bat. Shout out to Drew. The Cardinals come back with 13 plays, 71 yards, straight back down the field. Kyler Murray moving the ball around, passes to Dortch, passes to McBride,
wide
scrambles.
Open McBride,
Trey Benson coming back in.
Did they have a 3rd down on that drive? They did. There was one 3rd down.
One in
Vaughn pressured Murray on a 3rd and 6, but then Murray picked up the 1st, and then Greg Dortch had a 3rd.
They were moving the ball at will straight down the field, and that's the point where I was like, ooh, and this is the drive where we had lost Taron Johnson. We started to see some of the rotation. So
we lost Taron earlier.
I mean, this is the first full drive without him.
Oh, okay.
I think we lost him the previous drive.
This
was now this was the point where I was like, oh, maybe Taron will come back for this drive, and he didn't. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, once he didn't if he went to the locker room and came back in quickly, it would have been like, oh, okay, somebody went back and got a shot, and I was coming back into play just to have that numbed for a little bit. When he didn't come back in that second drive, all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is bad. He's probably not coming back in this game. So when they score there, and now it's 17-3, this is now in a really tough spot, and the Bills get the ball back, and I'm going to say this is my West Herr drive of the game. The Bills get the ball. There's 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. They're down 17-3. They know they're getting the ball coming out of the half, and they get into a couple tough spots here. We get a penalty right off the bat, get ourselves out to 1st and 15. So now we're sitting there. It's 2nd and 9 because Ty Johnson gets 6 of it back right before the 2-minute warning. We're now at the 2-minute warning, our own 31, 2nd and 9, and we have to be able to pick this up to be able to go through. We get a play to Samuel. We get it down to 3rd and 1. Okay, we're feeling pretty good. We get another penalty. Shoot ourselves in the foot again. Okay, Allen finds Shakir. We get 19 yards. First catch by Shakir at that point. Feeling really good. We're now at about midfield. We get another penalty. Go back, and it's 1st and 15. We're now having to weigh like, hey, do we burn a timeout versus the 10-second runoff? Feeling kind of awkward in the way that those are set up. Now, Josh scrambles. We get the defensive holding call. So that one at least gives us the automatic 1st down. It goes back. And here is where we kind of get some of that good fortune back. Josh gets sacked. Zaven Collins goes and sacks him. And it was a little ticky-tack, but he did swing his arm and hit him in the helmet. Like, there was forcible contact to the head. I don't think it was egregious.
I'd be peed off if like that happens to Groot or something.
Oh, 100%. We would be furious if it goes that way. But after seeing the other one where it obviously wasn't, I didn't feel bad in the least. I was like, all right, well, we each got one. Yep. Yeah, we had a good makeup call. We each got one. And you talk about the impact on the field. That's huge because now we have 1st and 10 of the 26. We still have 2 timeouts. There's 38 seconds left. Josh finds Keon Coleman for a really nice one coming in on the slant or going out, getting out of bounds. Really nice play there. Then Josh scrambles for 7. We take a timeout. Again, Josh runs it in. This is where we get a really nice power run for him to go in. And not only did they score, they took almost all the time off the clock. So this ended up being a 2-minute and 21-second drive with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. Yep. There was only 19 seconds left on the clock when we go to kick it back to the Cardinals. They actually do a really nice job going with the win. They do kind of the pop-up kick and make him try to field it. He kind of muffs it, runs around a little bit, wastes a little bit more time, gets tackled at like the 4. Casey Toohill kind of comically celebrates after tackling him there at the 4, but good for him. And then they get a kneel down, critical spot.
Activated double dip. You forgot the most important.
Opened up the double dip because they're getting the ball coming out of halftime. And now what was 17-3 in a half that rightfully the Cardinals should have felt like they dominated, because they pretty much did. The Bills have now brought it back to like, okay, we're within a score. It's not that bad.
And we're getting the ball. Within the store, getting the ball. People make fun of me for getting all excited about double dips and stuff, dude, but it is one of the best things in football here. My camera went out again, but I'll get that back. But it's one of the best things you can do, because you can have a situation like this in a game where if the other team takes it or you defer or whatever it is, more times than not, I know it's not perfect, but more times than not, you're going to have an opportunity at the end of a half to go in and get some points and get a 10 to 14 point swing in a game and get yourself back in it, man. Settle back in, especially a week 1 where it's gotten a little wonky on you. Being able to get that is it's like a free bonus in Monopoly. You get one of those bonus cards. It's totally free for you. You got to take advantage of those situations in the in-game strategy, and the Bills did it perfectly. So I love this one being a drive of the game, because it really kicks off your ability to claw back in this one and get the win.
Producer Chris just found a great quote from AJ Epinesa. Said Austin Johnson was standing next to him his first game with Josh Allen and said he was in disbelief on Allen's hurdle touchdown, and AJ turned to him and said, "That's our Josh. That's what he does, man. Like, get used to it. You're going to be in awe an awful lot."
He has a 100% QB hurdle success rate. I'm pretty sure
it is remarkable. It is really crazy how he's able to do that. So then we come back out of the half, get the ball here, have a chance to really come right back and make it, fully even. And they do. They go down 10 plays, 60 yards, 5 minutes off the clock, score the touchdown. This one you had mentioned where it went both ways. Matt Prater kicked it short of the landing zone. He tried to do the line drive kick. The wind kind of knocked it down enough where it bounced before it got to the 20, which in the new rules is an illegal kick.
Yards.
You can't squib it. You can't do a direct squib where it bounces right from the kicker. It came down too early, and the Bills got the ball at the 40 and opened up with those same benefits here. And again, more to Cook, more to Coleman, back and forth right down.
Super impressive on this drive, right? You start again, you get some of these flags, which I know Sean McDermott's not going to be happy about this week. And either there's Aaron Cromer, you get a holding on Dawkins on a 1st and 10. That was a decent run brought back. And then you're looking at 1st and 20, and they said, I forget who it might have been, Feely or something. It's like, not a lot of teams recover from 1st and 20. And that was my first reaction. I was like, you had the double dip right there on the ropes. And then you're going to start out just shooting yourself in the foot. But they kind of they don't get it back in the traditional sense. You're like, usually when the Bills do this, then they'll like get a big chunk play and like get a bunch of it back. Then it's like a 2nd and 16 and they get to Coleman. Then it's a 3rd and 11. And you get some just the point you made earlier about Josh Allen being overrated. Like this kind of play right here where he escapes a blitz, hits Cook for a 25-yarder. Like not a lot of guys do those types of plays that Josh does, and just extending. And then to the other point you made earlier, this is where you get a little chunk here of Ray Davis, a few touches here. And what is it? I don't have the game. I had a couple of them, but it was like 11, 14, and 13 right in a row for him. That's like 30 yards from a dude right in the middle of a drive. Like, gotta love that.
Yeah, I'm a little curious. It was the only 3 touches, the only touches he got during the game.
Ty Johnson got the immediate after Cook run, and then Ray Davis kind of got one here at half. And then, you didn't see much of Ray Davis the rest of the
well, and again, each time the Cardinals had the ball, for the most part, there was a critical 3-and-out late. But for the most part, there was a fair amount of time on the sideline, and Cook was good, and they put him back in. So, you didn't need to give him a spell as much as often happens, because he went, like you said, there was a check down that he broke the tackles for 14, then he ran for 13, then had a no gain. But 27 yards in his first 2 touches is pretty exciting. It was pretty good start.
And then Mac Hollins getting the touchdown grab there. Looking good. And
everybody eats.
Hey, that's everybody it, man. Eats. And tried warning y'all, but we get it 17 here. And I'm actually at this point, I get a text from Joe Marino because I messaged him at halftime, and he's like, that's what we're talking about, was like, finish this double dip, reset, and we got a game. Now you got a ball game again.
Yeah. And it got back to that point where, okay, we could take a breath. Everybody can calm down. It's even. It's 0-0 again. And I think it's pretty clear to say, hey, we're going to be able to keep moving the ball on this defense. We need to make some plays on our defense against their offense, but we're going to move the ball against this defense all day.
The last in that section, the last 7 minutes and 30 seconds of football action, you had 17 plays, 130 yards. Like, I don't think they really stopped you on much. There were some penalties mixed into those 2 drives too, but Cardinals defense didn't really show any resistance to either one of those drives at that point.
Xavier saying he was hospitalized earlier this week and was considering skipping the game today because of what that does. There you go.
Hey, Josh Allen,
you got to make tough choices.
Sorry that happened to you, man. I hope you're.
Hopefully you're doing as well as you can. First stop of the game.
I was going to say the Cardinals follow up that impressive 17 plays of Bills offense in back-to-back drives with a 3-play -4 yard drive. Not probably how Gannon wanted to draw that up after a double dip was successful to get this back to a tied game. But more group, 3rd and 6, dude. Big time players make big time plays, 3rd downs.
Yeah, he gets them off the field. We get them out there. Codrinson, gets the ball here on the punt. And here, like, the Bills,
this
really
should have been
had
my drive of the game.
Yes, they had a chance to put their foot on the throat, and all of a sudden you're in a spot where you can really feel good about, okay, we've now just completely taken control of this. They had every bit of momentum. You had 2 straight touchdown drives, the 3 and out. Okay, here's the one, we're going to put it away. And we get the run, then a no gain. And this is the one where if Josh is able to time it just a little bit better with MVS, that is the back-breaking play. So I know some people get frustrated when you take deep shots on 3rd down because, hey, just convert, keep the drive alive. But if they hit that play, it ends the Cardinals. It's done. It ends the Cardinals. That is all the momentum. It's just partying the rest of the day. And, so I get going for it. You take your shot. That's why you get a guy like MVS. Again, he got bumped just barely at the top of the stem, and it puts you in a spot where, you're trying to be able to keep track of what's going on. That's exactly what you're looking for in a play like that, and it just doesn't work.
I love about that play is it's a tell. Like, I saw MVS at the top of the screen, like, oh, there he is. Like, he's in the game. And so, like, he's in the game on 3rd down, that he's going deep, and it's still there was success within the play. Like, you didn't connect on it, but it works, and that you can at least, that's on tape that they got MVS taking somebody and beating somebody deep, and now that has to be accounted for. So while you didn't get the success in the moment, I think that's still long-term a success for the Bills of utilizing him as a free agent and him being a game day active. Is going to be, it won't be a lot of plays. He's not going to get the role Matt Collins will have, but if he hits on 2 or 3 of those this year, totally worth the free agent investment.
Yeah, it's a cheap contract, and you're there and the threat later on, he gets a nice catch where they're afraid of his deep speed, and he gets like a freebie
comes
on
right
the catch.
down.
So, John Brown used to have those back in the day where they were so afraid of the deep speed that he'd get those free comeback routes. Just, hey, here's a free 15 yards because we're afraid of you going over the top. So we come back here, and again, Arizona has a chance to kind of retake the momentum.
Actually, I am going to step in here, and this is going to be
run with it.
This is going to be interesting. I'm going to do a little bit of a cop out here, but I am going to kind of mold 2 sections of this game into a drive of the game here. I'm going to start with this Arizona drive. They get the ball back. You get Dortch for 3 yards, but then you get a 2nd and 7, and Greg Rousseau, with my opinion, the play of the game, strip sack. He's been in the backfield all day long. I'd said it back in the first quarter. This was what was making me feel like the Bills had this game. They were going to win in the trenches. You were going to get a sack on Kyler Murray, a big one, either a 3rd down to turn it over or something like this. You get the strip sack, and the Bills get the ball back. And, of course, this one had to be my drive of the game because of how it ends. But to me, this one was now stepping on the – like, you missed the shot to MVS. You can't mess around anymore. You just got the ball back. This was a theme last year, Greg, on post-game shows where we would do this little dance in the 3rd quarter where it would be like, the Bills defense finally gets a stop and gets the ball back, and then the offense punts. It's a 3 and out or something. Like, they just couldn't repay the defense over and over again. And I even was feeling that a little bit after that last drive. But then you do get this ball back, and you get a couple run to Cook. You get an 8-yarder to Coleman, which he looks good there. You get Ty Johnson run. Allen with the sneak on a 4th and 1, which you love that's automatic. It's like the tush push, but without having to push. It's just
our
Josh
own
Allen.
snowplow.
Yeah, just being Josh Allen.
James Cook was there for a little bit of
A little push, a
he
little
lightly
gentle
tapped him on the
tap.
back to help along.
A little backside push there. And then you get the Shakir touchdown with Deion Dawkins and Mac Hollins out leading the way, which is stuff we talked about in this offseason. Like, how beautiful is that going to look with Samuel and Shakir running behind Mac Hollins and a lineman and a pulling person, and it looked perfect. And Shakir is one of these things, like it's like one of those eggs on the desk, those weighted eggs that you can't like topple over. That's Khalil Shakir, man. When he gets the ball, he just makes plays. But that goes back to what was frustrating about earlier in the game is you get him on a screen, he breaks it for a touchdown. Like, you get this guy the ball and he just continues to make plays for you. Why did it take so long to get him the ball in like space like that? But it works. You get it. And then you're up 24-17. I'm putting the word out on the street. The Buffalo Bills are back. I'm celebrating. Khalil Shakir scoring touchdowns. Josh Allen's looking good. Defense is getting strip sacks, getting the ball turned over for you. At this point in the game, I'm feeling like you're going to take it and run. And obviously it doesn't run out the way I thought. I thought this was the point you were talking about with that MVS, where it's like, oh, you get this touchdown, it's just a party from here. Didn't end up being the party down at the Ralph that I wanted it to be, but great drive, great way to put a cap on it, and could have been the game-winning drive right there, but still had some more football to go. But that's my drive of the game because of the way you were able to capitalize for your defense on that one.
Love it. I think it's a great call. Shout out to our friends at West Her. Happy belated birthday to our guy Bradley Gelber. They're social media manager over there. They've been great partners with us. Any of your automotive needs, make sure you go check them out. They're great people to work with. And one of the things that I love the most, they're the largest employer in Western New York.
Super cool.
So over there all the time, one of the largest auto dealerships around the state, and a huge employer there in Western New York.
Yeah.
We come right back, and the Cardinals do answer. They come back here. Like you said, it doesn't quite get the foot on the throat that maybe we were hoping. Kyler has a ridiculous scramble during this drive, and then James Conner breaks
3rd
one.
and 7 of all.
And you're like, oh God, we cannot get a stop here. And then we finally get the stop on
Can't lose a couple back-to-back plays.
A super weird play call. Like, I guess that Arizona basically, before the play, decided it was 4-down territory because they thought they were going to get some yards, but then Cam Lewis stuffs James Conner for no yards, so it's 4th and 4, and they're like, oh, well, I guess we got to kick the field goal then. So it's super weird to like make a 3rd down play call where you're telling yourself we're going to go for it, and then because of the result of the play, you're like, oh, I was just kidding, we're not actually going to go for it. So it's just a weird spot to be in, but we get the stop, they kick the field goal. The Bills get the ball back now. And this one, if anything, was really the critical one that kind of gave us a little bit of that cushion and a very brief momentary partying aspect. But the Bills have a 10-play, 70-yard drive, 4 minutes and 48 seconds off the clock. We get, a couple nice plays, Shakir, another one, Josh with a scramble, some jumbo sets with runs by Cook. And then we get the nice one down the sideline to Keon Coleman, contest the catch, gets both feet in, looks fantastic. And now you get the hurdle. Josh Allen scrambles, goes over, scores the touchdown. And now everybody's legitimately partying. And while they're partying, we see the kick return go back for a touchdown. Because now it's like, oh, hey, this is over. It's 31-20. We just scored. It's in the 4th quarter. There's 8 minutes left. We're up 2 possessions. This is done. Even if they drive down and score, we got plenty of time. And like while we were doing that party and already planning to move forward, you're like, wait, did he just take that back for a touchdown? What just happened?
I know.
It was a very surreal moment in real time.
Yeah, no, I hated watching that. Hope that is stuff. Obviously, the kick was an issue with the wind. The wind's not going away in Western New York. I got bad news for us. And so they're going to have to figure that one out. And then it's really, like you said, it's the tackling and the coverage. Can't have it, especially when the offense comes down and does that. For special teams to turn around and give it up. I think this will also be something that gets lost in the conversation about how frustrated people are with how the defense looked. They'll look at the scoreboard, but I think some people might forget that there was a kick return touchdown baked in there. Because at this point, the defense kind of locked in a little bit here in the second half.
Yeah, ultimately, since those first 3 drives, the defense only gave up 3 more points the rest of the day. So, they really kind of got their bearings from a defensive standpoint. They, after those first 3 drives, which again were not okay, you had the kneel down at the end of the half. I won't even count that. We had 3-and-out punt, 2 plays fumble, a stop for a field goal, 3-and-out punt, and end of downs. Like they played the way they were supposed to.
Yep.
To compound the fear, they take that kick return back. Okay, all right, well, that's okay. We've marched up and down the field. We're going to be fine. And the Bills come out. We get the scramble. We get another penalty. Go back and take things off the board. Then Cook gets it right back. We get the yards. Kincaid gets another nice run. We're set up pretty well. We get it down to where it's like 3rd and 6, and we get the incompletion where like Ty Johnson was going to catch it like right at the first down mark. Maybe it would have been like 4th and 1, 4th and inches. I think we would have gone for it. I think that we would have got it there. It was going to be at, because again, we're not in field goal range. You're talking about it would have been at like the, midfield area. I think that he might have crossed midfield on the play to go from our 47. I think he probably would have caught it at like the, the Arizona 48. And I think we would have gone for it. I think we would have seen probably the snowplow, our own, quarterback sneak play, and really had a chance to just drain the rest of the clock here and not have to worry about it. But instead, we punt it back to Arizona. This is the one I was talking about where we had just seen the issues with the field goal and the punt, the kickoff into the wind, and now we're punting. And I'm anxious about Sam Martin anyways. And this one is honestly one of the more relieving crappy punts I can remember in a long time. He kicks it inside the 20, no real return. We're able to get it there and just get it downed. And it ends up being a perfectly functional punt to get them to stop. And this is one where we're in the Discord channel, we're talking and saying, we need the defensive line to step up here. And you've been talking about it all week. The trenches need to kind of take over. And they did, because it's not going to show it necessarily in the stats here, but we get a pressure right in first down from Kyler Murray. Daquan Jones bats down the third one down. And then Von Miller gets the drive-ending sack.
Just pushes third down. Beachum into Murray.
He sacked Kyler Murray with their right tackle. Mm-hmm. He used Kelvin Beachum to sack Kyler Murray and just long arms him directly backwards. Beachum was ready. This is one of the areas where the veteran savvy of Von Miller comes into play. He had been bending around the edge. That's what Beachum was ready for. And Miller just shoved him backwards to be able to get it there, and then cleans it up for the easy sack in a critical spot. And the defensive line looked fantastic.
They really did. Yeah, this is, again, I think there will be some narrative about the defense this week that this is exactly you just gave up that kick return touchdown. Your offense didn't do anything. It's a 1-score game. You had to punt the ball. Not a great situation. Your defense rises to the occasion, gets you the ball back. You couldn't ask for it better, right? Three and out. They don't gain a yard. And then Von Miller's the one that closes it out. And I think for me as a fan, that was a big relief, right? Like Von looked pretty decent in this game, and I'll be interested to see what snap counts look like. Because I saw quite a bit of Von Miller, maybe more than I was expecting, even in some of the spots. And he looked fine. There was a couple of times where his aggression got beat out a little bit.
He's always going to have those looping plays where he's going for the sack and kind of loops around.
And Kyler got away from a couple of his pressures, didn't push for other guys to get sacks. And then for him to finally get one, though, and in a spot like that, again, big time plays get made on third down. Like, this is the reason Von Miller's here, is late in a game, third quarter, fourth quarter. You need to stop. It's third down. You want a sack from Von Miller. So even if he's only getting those and it isn't even at 10 sack, if he's just getting a few of those this year where he cleans up late in the game on the third down, he's still worth all that money, in my opinion. Like, this is why you have Von Miller.
100%. It's exactly what they were hoping for, to be able to come back. And again, we had pretty muted expectations for Von Miller on the season. But we needed him to step up. Yeah, we needed him to step up in the big moments when we need him to still have some value. And, a lot of people had written it off as just a complete loss. I don't think we're getting back the guy that he was at any point. It's all going to be about, can we still get some value here? And today was inarguably some value.
You get that value.
2 quarterback hits, multiple other times where he's helping compress the pocket and involved, and the critical sack when they're trying to come back in a 1-score game, trying to win the game, and they're trying to come back and make a play, and he gets the sack that gets them off the field. But you can't ask for a lot more of that. That is a huge play. This one, then we come back, the Bills get the ball back here. They're in a spot where now we're rightfully running, trying to get the clock down. James Cook runs it. They get a penalty on the Cardinals. We run it again, get the first down. We get what, we're at 2nd and 3. We get 1 yard by James Cook. And then this one, I think maybe I'll nitpick a little bit. Choreographing to the Josh Allen power, like we go to that so many times. I really would have liked to have seen
I think
more
Allen
of a
made
run
that
pass.
choice, right? It was a run pass.
Eric said in the Discord that maybe it was an RPO. It was awful quick if he did. Eric's very good at spotting those things, so obviously I believe him that he saw that.
I think it was one of those ones where Josh predetermined ahead of the RPO that he's taking this one, which I also knew he was doing, unfortunately.
Correct, which meant that Kaiser White and
Yeah.
Zayvon Collins also knew, and Budda Baker also knew
Yeah.
that he was doing that too. So that puts him in a tough spot to try to figure out, exactly what's going on. And instead, the Cardinals have it dead to rights. They get the hit there. They have a chance to get the first down there and end the game. Instead, we take a loss. It's now 4th and 3. In the post-game press conference, McDermott said that if it was 4th and 2 or less, he would have gone for it. Here it was 4th and a long 3, almost 4th and 4. We're also talking about Josh with his hand injury. You don't know the degree of that. And here again, it's way more fun if we go for it and get it. That's way cooler. But kicking the field goal here had value because on the final drive, they go down, they're moving the ball, they get into a couple, positions to be able to try to
Hail
win
Murray
the
us
game.
again. Don't say it.
Literally to try to Hail Murray us again, and they almost did. And instead, we're able to force them to go for it in that final spot. And shout out to our guy Sal Capaccio. Obviously, we love him on the show here. He, in a post-game interview, said that Cam Lewis was supposed to play that extra dime safety for the Bills on Sunday. He was going to be the platoon guy with Dorian Williams. Instead, Taron Johnson gets hurt. He has to play full-time nickel corner. And then without any preparation, Jamarcus Ingram has to play the dime safety, being in that spot, and is put in that position on the last play of the game. Greg Dortch out of the slot. They try to take a deep shot to him. He was probably a little physical. Maybe if it's not the last play of the game, that he might get flagged there for the physicality that he had, but certainly made a big play in a moment when he needed to. And McDermott shouted him out in the locker room, getting called up, not prepared to be in that spot. That's not the game plan. Wasn't for him to play as many snaps as he did. Comes in, makes a huge play when he needs to, and gets the Bills off the field and locks up the W.
Yep, they love him for that, man. Like I said, the Bills have been higher on him than I had up to this point. And I'm not going to doubt them, especially with defensive backs. They just know what they're doing. They get guys and put them in good positions. But yeah, absolutely balled out. Cam Lewis game, but really the Greg Rousseau game for me. And just my sign here for those that are going to be listening to this here tomorrow and celebrating a victory Monday. My sign says pay Groot. I've been on that train here for a while, and I think that good for his agents for not. What I'm sure there was deals. At least
I guarantee the Bills made offers.
Yeah,
but they were like, we think our guys worth.
Let's wait this one out. Yeah, they look smart today.
They
look great.
They were correct.
Yep. But no, what a great way to start the season here. I got the slate of games here behind me on Red Zone for the 4:00 games. Just good to walk out of week one. It makes me so nervous, Greg. Week one is such a wonky week. We saw some weird games that I didn't think should be as close as they were, get close. And this one was one of those ones where I thought the Bills would cover the spread, but I didn't think it would present itself as close.
Depends on when you got your bet in. Early on, it was 5.5. Kickoff, it was 6.5. So anybody who got in early bet at 5.5, congratulations. A good handful of people pushed. It was at 6 for quite a while.
Yeah.
If you got it in the last couple of days, it was up at 6.5. So unfortunately, the Cardinals covered if you got it late.
Yeah. So tough day for you, but still a good day for me. And ultimately, that's what I care about. So.
And looking at it here, you got to think we talked about how week one can be a liar and can be tough. The Bengals were the biggest favorites of week one. They lost to the Patriots. Didn't cover, they straight up lost. The Titans jumped out to a 17-0 lead, and the Bears came back and won 24-17. There's a lot of games that can be really, really tough. Now, it's nice when you're like the Saints and you smoke the Panthers 47-10. That's nice and easy. But, finding a way to get a W, especially when you have weird injuries, weird penalties, weird turnovers, those oftentimes are the recipe for an upset. And you found a way to come back and get the W here. That's a tough team. One of our very, very first super chats here, Jason bringing it up, the resiliency of here. There are lots of things to nitpick about Sean McDermott. He is not a perfect coach. He makes mistakes. You can't argue with the resiliency and the toughness of this team. They do continue to battle. It's why they've now gone, whatever the streak is, the longest streak in the NFL. I think it's now 42 games without losing by more than a score. They are in every game. They battle in every single game. And sometimes that's all you can ask. A game like today, a lot of teams would have dropped that game when you were down 17-3, lost your all-pro nickel in a tough spot, and they come back and find a way to win.
Yeah, finding a way to win. That's been something we've heard from them, right? Find a way. That was like the mantra last year. Defend your dirt is another mantra that Sean McDermott's had here. They do both of those here today. And these are the types of wins Sean McDermott, the coaching staff, absolutely love, because you get the win. You have plenty on film to nitpick at your team. Like, there's plenty of work to do. It was not perfect. It was not pretty. We talk about it all the time here, Greg. You want to be playing pretty perfect football in January, not in September. You got to just get wins. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just get the wins, beat the teams you're supposed to beat the teams that you have spreads to beat, win your home games. Like, that's a formula to do exactly what the Bills and be in the position the Bills want to be in at the end of the season. And then you got to be playing your best football. So you just got to match those things up. So it kind of plays out real perfect here. The things that aren't playing out perfect as we go into this week, quick turnaround for the week, Greg. I hate this. A lot of show prep going to be condensed. Luckily for us, there's not a lot of games to watch for Miami here on a short week. So it's not like we have to turn around and watch 4 games in 3 days and get ready for that show. But it's going to be a quick week here, which isn't going to allow if Taron Johnson does have this wrist injury and we find out what the extent of that is, or Josh Allen's left hand here, and find out the extent of how that's going to look here as the game goes on. Was there any other injuries that I missed in game that we should be concerned about or have any waiting to find out here tomorrow?
Josh's hand.
Well, that's the one. I just said that. Josh Allen's hand.
I thought you meant him and Taron were the only two that were any significant ones. I've been scrolling through trying to find any post-game stuff.
Those are the only ones,
either direction. So I'm sure some other guys may have got dinged here or there.
Yeah.
We'll see where Dwayne Smoot is coming.
I'm going to guess the Bills try to take that info into Tuesday this week.
Correct. It would be pretty tight to find out here. So, nothing that I see anything confirmed. So we'll scoop around. If anybody here is listening, feel free to drop it in the chat. But obviously, a couple things that need to be.
This Broncos Seahawks game is certainly a game. Right now it's 10-9. There's a safety announcement. 10-9.
It was 5-3 at one point. Like, how do you have 5-3? Super makes sense.
Week 1.
All right. Any final thoughts for the people here before we wrap up?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a quick turnaround this week. We're going to have Tom from Dolphins Talk. Yeah. Everybody here knows him, so that's going to be a nice, easy flow. Get into it. They also had a bit of a struggle here week 1. Not looking super pretty.
They dug a hole against Jaguars.
So both teams coming off of sloppy wins where they were able to get the win. You were talking about it. Lots of AFC East wins going on with the Patriots winning. Got some 3 at the top of the AFC East here. And so, I'm going to watch the rest of the slate of football here and then get ready for a quick turnaround. We can talk to you on Wednesday. Big matchup right out of the gate here.
100%. Shout out to the Patriots fans. Congratulations on a win that you're definitely not going to regret.
Keep winning more
in the draft. Keep winning.
Win like job. 8.
Yeah. Grade 7-10, 8-9.
Do it.
Absolutely. Find a way. And giving the Cincinnati Bengals a loss. I'll take that all day.
That.
The Bengals and the Ravens are now 0-2. Yeah, this is fantastic.
You guys keep losing.
The Steelers are in first place in the AFC North. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this was a ton of fun. Shout out to our fantastic producer, Chris Kepner. There's no games where he shines more than in these post-game show, getting all the comments up there on the screen. Fantastic producer to be able to help us out. He's the reason that you see your lovely comments and things up on the screen, and it's none of them are more fast-paced than here in the post-game show, so shout out to him. Thank you guys for checking us out. This is my cousin, Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy.
As we're hanging out and getting things closed up here, please help us out. Hit that like button on your way out. That's how you can let more people know that they should check this show out. And if you want to help us even further, you can jump in and be a One Pass subscriber. Aaron, Eric, and I were hanging out in the One Pass game day chat today, all of us going back and forth. We're really trying to make that more of a really interactive group. We've done voice channel things. Aaron and I do some talks here when we have time on Fridays. We've gone through all kinds of different stuff. stuff, trying to make it a really great experience. We announced the partnership today with 26 shirts, trying to make sure that you guys feel like you're getting a good value, not only for coming and supporting us and being able to help us have the access to create the content that you enjoy, but also giving some stuff back to you. So trying to make that more and more enjoyable and as good of a value as what you could find. And that community in Discord is the biggest piece of it for me. I do love the new shirt design, I'm not going to lie, but that community we've been able to help build in the Discord channel is just fantastic.
Yeah. But if you don't have money and you don't want to become a One Pass member, you still can like. That's for free. You can smash it, no matter where you're at. If you're on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you see us, give us likes, subscribe. You guys know how the internet works. All that stuff matters so much to the algorithms and getting us out there. So that costs you nothing. And if you sat through this and enjoyed it, that's the least you could do. So we appreciate that.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. We will talk to you again soon. Quick turnaround here. We'll be ready for you with a preview show on Wednesday night and another post-game show after the game Thursday night. But on behalf of producer Chris Kepner and Aaron Quinn, I am Greg Tompsett. You've been listening to Cover One Buffalo, and